Bob, for that beautiful music. Thank you, Jody, for ringing the sacred bell that calls us home. And so we breathe in and we breathe out. A sacred practice that takes us home. When I studied with Thich Nhat Hanh, he always spoke about breathing in. And then he spoke about exhaling and letting go. And what that simple practice does is it takes us into the sacred moment. Because all we really ever have is the sacred moment. And when time collapses, then we can say, I have arrived. I am home. In the breath. Breath is another word for spirit. And so a conscious inhalation is breathing in that spiritual awareness. And as we exhale, we let go of whatever it is that we need to release, something we might be carrying around that no longer serves us. And we have a little chant that we use here at the center that says, I am letting go of the things that no longer serve me. Every exhalation, we can use that. And as I'm letting go, I am healed. I am made whole. And so something as simple and as necessary as a breath becomes a spiritual practice. Breathing in, I breathe in. And breathing out, I breathe out. And we start our service off with the mindfulness bell intentionally. It is a practice that we are always doing. We are always breathing. But the shift is, could we breathe consciously? A conscious inhalation. And then a moment of awareness. And then a conscious exhalation as a simple spiritual practice. Breathing in, I breathe in. And breathing out, I breathe out. Meditation requires that we consciously breathe. And the gift is that we move into the awareness which is behind thought. The Buddha is the consciousness that is awake and aware. And Buddha says, awareness is the Lord of everything. And so through the simple practice of breathing, we arrive at that place called home, which is the same awareness that all spiritual paths speak about. In Christianity, they call it the Christ consciousness. In Buddhism, it's the Buddha consciousness. In Sufism, it's the beloved. And so imagine no religion. I wonder if you can. And as they all fall away, that Christ awareness is still there. That Buddha consciousness is still there. The beloved is still there. It doesn't need a container. And we come here to the Center for Spiritual Living to experience this oneness. And so I invite you to take a deep inhalation. Give a sigh for the divine. And I'm going to invite Kelly and Bob up to start us off with this amazing song that I've asked them to do, which makes a lot of sense about letting go of the separate containers and realize that it's all about the same presence that they contain. A young man named Daniel Nema wrote it, and it's one of my favorite songs. It's called One Power, not two, one.
One power, one power, one power's what we are. There's one power invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth, as simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Jesus, call it Spirit, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Mahorula, angel's wings or heaven's door, but whatever name you call it, it's all one power. Can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power's what we are. We speak so many languages, have different clothing, different colors, different names. But different is only dangerous when we forget that in the heart we're all the same. We'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such differences were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Allah, Hashem, or Heaven's Door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth, or Father Time, but whatever name you call it, it's all one power. Can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. Oh, it's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power's what we are. It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunlight on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby. The serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandon. For it's love God's most deep. It's one power. you and me. It's the power of love in you and me.
Thank you, beloveds. It's the power of the love in you and me. So we might as well start. The first step of spiritual mind treatment is the recognition step. To recognize there is but one life. And that life does not have a religion. Imagine no religion. I wonder if you can. I think the Beatles wrote a song about that. So the indigenous people talked about the one life that was within all creation. And they would go to the trees and they would say to the oak tree, teach me and show me the way. They would say to the waters, teach me and show me the way, because they recognized the Great Spirit was everywhere. And when I became a brand new minister, this man from India came, and there are no accidents in life. Divine love brings together and maintains together those who belong together. So this young man from India showed up here at the center and he said to me, David, in India, it's all about yantra, mantra, and tantra. It all boils down to those three. Well, I was I'm not sure what he's talking about, Miss Virginia. Well, then he explained to me, the yantras are the symbols of the world's spiritual teachings, and they point to a connection to source and that's why the yantras are so powerful. And then mantras are what you say, Hear, O Israel, the Lord God is one. There's only one here. The Tantra connection is the intimacy connection. I'm a tantric master. You look at me, we'll begin to merge. That's Tantra. It's very beautiful. It's been taken off by the sex people, but it's not just about sex. I have things with flowers. You notice the beautiful irises. I come in here, I have a thing with these white irises, and then there's the little purple flowers, and they're all speaking to me. Susie has a pair of pants that just drive my tantric way crazy, covered with flowers. But these simple tantric expressions, because it's important that we understand that we're going through a wake-up call, and it never ends. I've been a minister now 37 plus years, and I'm still waking up to a truth that wants to be, and that's why we come here on Sunday mornings, is to continually wake up and to not go back to sleep. Don't go back to sleep, Miss Donna. You don't need to fall back into the old way. No. And we had this beautiful class, and Donna shared a story how there was a time when she was disturbed and asleep, and she looked in the mirror, and the awake one came right to her, and it took her on a whole new journey in life. That was meeting that awakened self. And so when I see these, Virginia Burroughs did the yantras in the sanctuary. And this is the yantra of our teaching. And it's the descent of spirit, moving through soul, manifesting as our direct experience. And she had it moving all the way down, and she took advantage and she put it right in the heart chakra, which I absolutely love. And so that's the symbol of our teaching. Centers for Spiritual Living. This is the symbol of Islam, the star and the moon. The moon is the reflection of the star. Then you've got the symbol of Islam. You've got the symbol of, I'm not sure what that one is. The Christianity's back there. The vertical reality of now cutting through the time-space continuum meets in the sacred now. Over there is the winged heart. That's the symbol of Sufism. The heart that's winged, it ascends into the light. I love the Hasidic symbol. The upper three chakras and the lower three chakras, they meet in the heart chakra. That's the symbol of Judaism. This is the Vesica Pisces, which is the symbol of Tao plus Christianity. And it's a combination of all different. Wanda Gale insisted that we have that one there. And then this is the symbol of Taoism. Taoism, the black with the white light, the white with the black light. And it's called yin yang. It's not yin and yang. No, it's yin yang. With every masculine energy, there is a feminine energy. Within every feminine energy, there's the masculine. So the universe is made out of masculine and feminine energies. It's not some kind of a crazy way of thinking. This is all spirituality speaking to us at a subjective, intuitive level. And they say intuition is spirit in the soul of man. So could we cultivate our intuitive guidance system? I'll drink to that. A little intuition is nice. We don't need to get literal. We've been celebrating Easter, and Megan read this beautiful poem on Easter Sunday about a butterfly emerging from the cocoon, and what a beautiful symbol that is, almost like the resurrection. We're a caterpillar. We create this place of transformation. The caterpillar becomes liquid. It transforms itself into a winged creature. It eats its way out of the cage called the cocoon, and it emerges as a butterfly. What a symbol for resurrection. So what if that metaphor is something that we all get to experience? We get to die to the old identification of who we thought we were. How many of you have had a resurrection in here? Oh, one at least. I've had, Jody, thank you. She's waving her arm back there. And it requires a death to some false sense of who we thought we were, to an emergence of a sense of something so much greater. And life is like that. It never ends, that we get to evolve here. My last talk next Sunday for this month is called Resolve to Evolve. We're always evolving. It never ends. I'm 77 now. I'm going to continue to evolve until you won't know what you're looking at, and I won't know what I'm experiencing, because it doesn't end, this transformation. Anybody who's a gardener knows that. Every year when I go out to the garden, she blows me away with how she continues to evolve and get more beautiful. Now, I could get caught up in the old David Leonard, who wanted to be a control freak and wanted to look the way I thought it should look, or I could be a little bit more evolved and say it's looking the way it wants to look. Could I encourage it to be what it is? I remember when we had this celebration in Atlanta when I was a student there, and Bernie Siegel wrote a book called Love, Medicine, and Miracles, and they gave him an honorary doctorate of religious science at the time. This was 1985. And he came and he spoke to the congregation there. And he said, I live by one simple idea. And he gave it to us as his gift for giving us this honorary doctorate. He said, I live by this simple awareness: be who you is and not who you ain't. Because if you ain't who you is, well, then you is who you ain't. And if you is who you ain't, well, guess what? You ain't who you is. And I'm looking at it and I thought, that's the worst English I've ever heard. But he's telling us to be who you are and not try to be something that you're not. And when you know that you are a little kid, when I was a little boy, I would merge with flowers. I was a little tantric kid, flowers, and then I had a thing for butterflies. I was mesmerized by the butterflies, how there would be these cocoons, and then out of the cocoons would come these winged creatures. I didn't have anybody telling me that I was witnessing a spiritual transformation, but the little boy in me knew that. And so it's taken me to go through all these stages. I mean, I even got a degree in landscape design, only to realize I wasn't there to get a landscape design. I was there to understand the oneness with nature. I worked on a master's in dance. I wasn't there to work on a master's and become a dancer, even though I did a lot of it. I took that to work on my master's thesis, which is the anatomy of inspiration, which was where does the creative impulse come from? So everything was taking me to a discovery of this one power, and it comes through all different aspects of life if we allow it. This month I'm doing a theme, and it's called the endless practice. Your life is an endless practice. You're not going to get to somewhere and you can stop. No. You're going to keep evolving and transforming and experiencing beautiful. I mean, Jody shared that she's just a brand new grandma of only 6 years, and she's going through the sacred role of grandma. And I just love listening to her because I can vicariously experience it through her. I don't have to have the children and the grandchildren. I can, because we're so close. And yeah, there are no accidents. Things come into your life to assist us in this transformation. When we did our last class, Donna did a little lovely meditation where she took us into the light that they say that we go into when we die. And she mentioned her little dog, and all of a sudden my little dog on the floor starts to, and he tends to tune in to spirits because baby Speck was his spiritual mama. And every time I put him down in bed, I'd put him down in bed last night, he's licking his little paws side to side. That's what she did on the moment that she left her body. Trey said she just licked her paws until she took her last breath. And every time I put him in the bed, he goes right where she did. And even last night, he was licking his paws and put his head on the side. And I know I sound crazy, but spirit was never born. Spirit never dies. We're spiritual beings. So there's an awareness that kind of keeps haunting me, that yes, we're going through a physical experience at this time, but we're multidimensional beings. Could we open to the mystery of that something that's so much bigger? Then you know that the ancestors are with you. They truly are. Even the four-legged ancestors are with you. And so it's kind of fun to play this. So the first week of this month, I talked about we're always beginning. It never ends. You know, and I love that way of thinking. It's not like you arrive and you're done. No, 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 no. You arrive and you Thomas, you're going to keep transforming and transforming until there is no Thomas anymore. There's just divine love moving through the Thomas person. That's you're always beginning. The second week, which was last week, the exchange that brings us alive. Could we know that we need each other to walk each other home? These exchanges are very sacred. I shared that Virginia was there when this young lady was dissolving into oneness a couple of weeks ago. And she just merged with her like I did. And this young lady, completely out of the clear blue, said, I'm one with everything. What am I going to do? Tell her she's going crazy? Or saying, yeah, you're having a direct experience of oneness. And so that's that exchange that brings us alive. And today, I get to explore the beautiful idea of reliable truths. What's a reliable truth that you can go to? You know, there's that beautiful saying that says, ye shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free. So what are the truths that you're playing with? I've been having, you talk about dreams, Kim. I've been having dreams about what is the truth that I can rely on? The truth will set you free. And I went to sleep the other night. Oh, this truth came up. This is the day that the Lord has made. Could I rejoice and be glad in it? This day, let's not talk about tomorrow, when, no, or yesterday, when, no, this is the day the Lord has made. Could I rejoice and be glad in it? And then when I wake up, I get to embrace what this day offers. And then the other one came, I heard this from Krishnamurti when I was 21, it changed my life and it's become a way of living. He said, in oneself lies the whole world. And if you know how to look and to learn, that learning part's important, Susie Q. If you know how to look and to learn, he says, then the door is there and the key is in your hand. And then he said, but no one gives you this key or the door to open except yourself. In oneself. It's in here. It's not out there. In oneself lies the whole world. This is the kingdom of heaven that Jesus said. He said, seek the kingdom of heaven. He says, the kingdom of heaven is within. And he says, when you seek the kingdom, then you will discover this presence that's waiting for us. So what if they're all pointing to the same thing, which is a direct experience of truth? And you can find whatever reference point you need. They're all pointing to the same thing. There is this one power. And you call it God, call it Buddha, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it whatever name you call it, it's one power, don't you see? It's the power of love. So we come here to have this direct experience to this something that's invisible, but it's extremely intimate, and it wants us to be, one with it. It always has. And you know, then you hear Jesus, you must be like a child if you would enter this kingdom. Hold on to that original innocence. When Bob and Kelly were singing, the little boy and me started to dance because he comes out. And I remember when I was a little boy and my dad would put on swing music, you know, they did all that. And they'd be having a party with all their friends and they'd be drinking. And this little 4 or 5-year-old kid would be dancing around the room. And I guess I broke some of their records because they were kind of brittle in those days. And my father spanked me. He says, can't you stop dancing? Well, once the music started to play, that little thing in my soul wanted to express, and it always has. So you got to be careful. If you want to be who you are, maybe go off in a private place and be who you are, because the world does not necessarily want you to be a free spirit. So let's see what else came through. There's that wonderful song that says, use me, oh God. Ricky Byers wrote this. I stand for you. And here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Maybe we'll do this one Sunday. She said, command my hands, what must they do? Command this heart, it's here for you. And so could we say to this divine presence, use me? Susie lets this divine power use her. She's written books and she's done paintings. I love your horse painting. Yeah. So, and then I thought, things that you can rely on, truths you can rely on. One of them is, an affirmation that I do when I feel that I'm maybe going astray. I say, this too is good, and this too is for God, and I demand to see the blessing. It may be something that I'm resisting, that's uncomfortable. Someone has just read my beads, and I'm thinking, this too is good, and this too is for God, and I demand to see the blessing. Boy, that'll work for you, Kim. Put that one in your hopper, because one of the greatest truths that I live by, and if you learn anything from the Sunday talk, take this one home with you and put it on your wall. All suffering is simply a resistance to what is. If you have any resistance to anything, you're going to suffer. And so when all this political stuff that's on the air and all this stuff that kind of stirs things up, and my husband, and we live in crazy times right now. I don't have to suffer with it. I can say, okay, if I resisted, but yet I can still find my voice. I really think the Pope deserves some thumbs up, don't you think? I mean, he's actually found his voice at this time when we have a God that doesn't want us to go to war and kill each other. We're here to love one another. He dares to say something as outrageous as we're here to love one another and to heal one another and to do good and to forgive one another. Jesus said, forgive those that harm you. Don't go out and kill them. And so we get to use our discernment, and instead of resisting it, say that there's a pony in here somewhere. There's a gift in here somewhere. It all has a gift in it. So resist nothing. And then Thich Nhat Hanh, my spiritual teacher, that when I shared about the breath, he coined a phrase called inner being. He says, we enter are. And we do this lovely song at the end, I am you, you are me, we are one. That's quantum spirituality, which says there's only one here, there's one life. In the poster in the men's room of Albert Einstein, my Zen calendar said a little quote from Albert Einstein, and I taped it to the poster of him. Albert Einstein says, the only problem we have is the me person that thinks I'm separate from you. And he says, and when I can get out of the me and go into this quantum oneness, unity consciousness, he said, it's the drop, knowing that it's really the ocean. All you little drops out there are really the ocean of love. Well, that takes you to that quantum reality that there's only divine love expressing through multiplicity. And then you can see these little twinkling lights all become the one light. These little drops of protoplasm become this beautiful wave of divine love in this ocean of love. I know it sounds very right brain, doesn't it, Babette? But it is right brain. My very first spiritual class, I guess, was in 1975. I was in San Francisco. Her name was Starhawk, and she was in the Haight-Ashbury, and she taught a class called Trance and Psychic Development. And we used this book by Robert Ornstein called The Psychology of Consciousness. And she would start every class with a meditation and going within, and she would ask us to go into the different lower worlds and to call forth who's ever going to be in there. And as she's teaching this class, San Francisco, I'm 25 years old, she said, because it was Robert Ornstein, and he was a psychologist, he said, our brain has two hemispheres. There's the left hemisphere and there's the right hemisphere. The left hemisphere, most of us live from. The left hemisphere is very logical, calculating. We live in the left hemisphere. But the right hemisphere is very imagistic. It lives in, and so she said, the key is to open the doorway between the hemispheres and let the right hemisphere inform the left hemisphere. So instead of being so linear and logical, we get a little bit more creative, a little bit more what if, and then you become what she calls a whole-brained individual. You can operate from this whole brain consciousness. And that's where it started with a lady named Starhawk. But notice how all the pieces of the puzzle fit together in this creation called you. You that isn't really you. You that is something so much. When I read Gigi's poetry, she's out there in the universal you. And she could listen to the raindrops. Suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning. Time, be my friend, let me start again. So when you hear this mystical music, it begins to awaken within you. And when your little pug starts to connect to these other dimensions, you listen to the pug. He's not a stupid little animal that we got at the pound. He's really kind of a divine being that blesses my life. My teacher, Llewellyn Van Lee, and I'm going to give you a little of him later. Llewellyn Van Lee said, the outer teacher must take you to the inner teacher. But the greatest teacher of all is life itself. And so whoever the outer teacher in all of life, everyone is a teacher. And if they're really doing their job, they're taking you to this inner teacher. And then the greatest teacher is life itself. Boy, then you don't resist it. And when life gives you crazy things, Robert, you embrace them. This young man came up after the service last Sunday and he was going nuts and he didn't want me to leave him and he was recovering from an addiction. I took him to the board meeting. I fed him some food. I was hoping he'd come back. But when life gives you something that seems really otherworldly, it's there for you to enter into it, not to resist it. And so I pulled out Richard Rohr, a Franciscan monk. And I say this lovingly, he pisses off the Catholic Church, but I love the way he does it because he speaks about mysticism and oneness. And this is a little book called What the Mystics Know, 7 Pathways to Your Deeper Self. And he quotes Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu is one of the teachers of Taoism. And listen to Lao Tzu. He sounds like Albert Einstein. Lao Tzu says, arrive at it, and there is no beginning, and follow it, and there is no end. You can't know it, you can only be it, at ease in your own life. We can't really know this thing logically, but we can be it, to be the one. I'll say it again, arrive at it, and there is no beginning, follow it, and there is no end. You can't know it, but you can be it, at ease in your own life. So we're going to be this thing that we can't really logically explain, Virginia, but that's what we are. And so he goes on to say, hearing this deeper voice, how do we hear this deeper voice? He says there are 2 utterly different forms of religion. One that believes that God will love me if I change and obey, and the other believes that God loves me so that I can change. So we get that second kind of God, a God of love. It doesn't say you have to follow my rules, and if you don't accept it, you're going to burn in hell. Get rid of that punishing God. And then, of course, this is a Franciscan Catholic monk. Okay, ideas inform us, but love forms us. So get out of the thought patterns and move into the vibration of love. Franciscan monk. He says, and in an intrinsic and lasting way, then God is always willing to wait for a lasting transformation in your life that's brought about by love. A transformation that's brought about by love. Oh, I just kind of shimmer in that thought. Okay. He says, when people submit to the gifts of God, when people open to the charisma of God, God is faithful to those gifts. God maintains those gifts and allows people to keep using them. These are gifts of the soul, and they are healing us. So rejoice not in displays of power, but in the expressions of union, that your names are written in heaven. And that's quoting Luke, that your nature is written in heaven, in that consciousness of your gifts flowering through you. So he's using his Christian roots to find the truth. The truth's in there somewhere. You need a good Franciscan monk to kind of point it out. Does he say anything else? Dwell inside of things. There's an indwellingness. There is an all-knowing truth that can happen only inside. It's called a tacit knowing. Tacit means silent. There is a silent knowing that is silent, unconscious, and unspoken, even to us. Text is always untrue, or at least incomplete outside of this context. So we must be humble enough and tentative about our ability to know it. It's not a logical knowing, Michael. It's an intuitive guidance thing. And he says, we are all partial knowers. All verbalizations are filled with a biography of preference and genius and past hurts. Get out of that person. And he said, we also have ability to dwell inside things. That was more art than science, more poetry than prose, more spirit than rational mind, and more letting go than holding on. So he's inviting us to let go and let God in everything, Susie. Not take it literally, but let yourself play with the mystery, Miss Virginia. I love this guy. He said it is an indwelling truth, Kelly. An indwelling truth. These are areas of giftedness. It's almost impossible for them to know how they get the feel. That's why they themselves know that it is a gift. It's a gift. I myself do nothing. There's this presence within that doeth the work, Jesus said. So he knew it. And he says, let that power be in you that was in him. So he talks about this man named Paulinaya. He concluded that it was necessary to tune in with an intense personal involvement and even love of situations and others to be able to hear and see the situation truthfully. Trust it and allow it. Those who love rightly see rightly, and only those who are situated correctly in a correct universe can read a situation with freedom and grandeur. Text plus full context equals genius. Text plus full context. Context is the consciousness within, leads to true genius. Only the true believer can trust this larger context, even to the point of including God. Beloved, this life belongs to you. Do with it as you will. And then you know that there is this divine guidance system within. So Richard Rohr, what the mystics know, that there's something operating greater. It's not about me. It's never been about me. It's about a pathway for divine revelation. So that's my nice Catholic reference. And then I pulled out my nice Jewish reference, Mark Nepo. Oh my God, this guy speaks to my soul. He calls it an endless practice, which is the theme for this month. And he had cancer several times and survived it. And he said it was a blessing. It transformed his life. So Mark Nepo says this: eventually we come to the last quarter or the final stage of our life. Anybody in the last quarter in here? Oh, there are a couple of you. I find myself here now. He's in his 70s. Whether 10 years or 40 years, there are more years behind than ahead. How does this change my viewpoint? How does this open the embrace of life in a time that's left? It seems that preciousness in all that is before us is all we ever have. So I've known for a long time that we slowly become what we seek, just as we discover the ounce of wisdom we can offer the world. And in his 70s, after a lifetime of seeking, we become beautiful parts of the path by which others seek as well. Lean into the unknown long enough that we become a small part of this great mystery. You're still in the mystery, Miss Virginia. So yes, we know an awful lot, but lean into the mystery, the great mystery, Susie. And he says, the gift of life is the journey with which each soul must take themselves. We must take this journey ourselves. And our job is not to expose the mystery, but rather to participate in the mystery. Oh, I love that. We get to participate in this great mystery of unfolding. And I'm going to keep going in that mystery as long as you know me, Mr. Michael. He says, our job is not to expose the mystery, but to participate in it. Oh, that's just enough of him. And lastly, I'm going to dive into little Llewellyn Bunley, my mystical Sufi teacher, who I used to go and see every summer up at Omega. And then one year he got pissed off and he didn't show up. Oh, and they said, you'll never come back here again. So when they wouldn't have him back, I'd stopped going to Omega. But he'd had enough of going up there every summer. But he has a way of taking us into the love that's real. This is called For the Love of the Real. And he really is my teacher. He said, the absolute draws us back to itself. I'm being pulled into that thing, Kim, and I always will be. The absolute is drawing me back to itself. And it also opens our eyes to what is real with a capital R within all of creation. It allows us to see what is hidden within life, which is life's great secret. So pay attention. Wheresoever you look, you're going to see the face of God. And as a gardener, you're going to see God blooming in your garden. He goes on to say, and perhaps more importantly, we have forgotten the deepest purpose of being a human, how we participate in the unfolding of the real within and around us. How are you participating, Thomas, in this dance of the one with itself? He said, that's the most important thing. We're always participating in this. Holy cow, it never stops. So when so much has been lost and forgotten, the danger is that we will remain caught in patterns of illusion without the ancient tools that can help us understand the real nature and purpose of life. And in this darkness of forgetting, it's either forgetting or remembering. And we come here to remember. You came back to remember. It's all forgetting and remembering. And in the darkness of forgetting, in the dying of our light, it is essential to return to what is real and is true, to the deepest lodestone of existence itself. And in the core of our being, we carry the imprint of the absolute, the one reality with a big R, the source of all, because without it, there would be no existence. So we go home every Sunday to the source of our being, which is always there waiting for us, Virginia. I just love when you walk in here because I just see the ocean and those beautiful blue eyes that look at me. He says, even when all else has been distorted, this remains, this thread to lead us out of the maze of our forgetfulness into the reality of what we are. It is a journey to the core of existence itself. It is a search for what is real. And in his last little paragraph, he says this: it is a light older than darkness itself, a memory from before our mind. There is a need to return to this knowing. That's called gnosis. Gnostic teachings means this deep knowing. And to stay true to this imprint, to its call and our response. The universe is always calling. That's why Donna came back here, because she wants to respond. And to bring this imprint from the innermost depths back through the veils of creation, back through both the in-breath and the out-breath, back into the consciousness, into life. And this is the little point that I really wanted to share with you. In the Sufi practice, historically, they say we're all going toward this emptiness. You get out of the me. You know, we say that you leave the me, you find the we, and then you arrive at the all. So this emptiness of me. He says, we point toward this emptiness. Sufism calls this truth without form. And Al-Hallaj, the great Sufi martyr, said, when truth has taken hold of a heart, she empties it of all but herself. So there is no more David. There is only the truth coming through the heart of David. And the practice is this practice of annihilation. I remember when I heard that, I thought, oh, Sylvia, I can't do the annihilation. And the annihilation is called fana. And what is that's the death of the separate self. But when there is no me that I'm referencing, then you arrive at a place called baka. Baka is oneness or unity. So we're not in David, we're in the oneness, Virginia, that's called baka. Abiding in presence, abiding in light and love. Wow, isn't that kind of fun? It's kind of tantric. Abiding in love, abiding in God. We can only abide in God after you have been annihilated, after you're no longer there trying to stir things up. Well, it's all about me, damn it. Yes, it's about me. No, there is no you. And I remember once I was studying with the Sadhguru, and I went up there and he had rigid dietary laws, and I was doing things in Sanskrit and sahana vavatu, sahanu vanatu. And I said, oh, I can't eat that. The Sadhguru says I can't eat that. Only raw vegetables, no sugars, no. And Llewellyn said, the problem is not the cookie. The problem is you. And he was right. I was getting so rigid in my way of thinking that the cookie is not the problem. You're the problem. And I gave up that rigid way of thinking. Anyway, and for the Sufi, the heart is the home of the self. It is the doorway between all worlds. Through the heart, the wayfarer has access to their divine nature and even beyond to the divine essence. Well, it's all coming from here. We meet in the heart of love. That's why heart math is not just a math situation. It's a way of deep spiritual knowing. Very end. You can sense that nothingness is one, is attentive in the right way, in a way that one can hear silence. And one can work with emptiness. One works with it through our heart and through the self with the big S. So everything is present at every moment of time, and life is filled with emptiness, and this emptiness is pulsating with an unconditional love. Whoa, I think that's pretty special. Should we do a little collection and maybe play a little music, and then I'll do a little ring of the bell. And thank you, Bob, for your beautiful, oh, show them your shirt. It's my favorite shirt. Oh, you have to open it. There he is. Isn't he beautiful? I know I'm crazy. You want to say a little treatment, Jody?
Oh, sure.
I love when you do it.
Oh, I'm so grateful for the abundance that has filled my life with joy and love and laughter. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to share that abundance in this moment with CSL to support its building, its classes, its sangha, its lessons, and its love. So with gratitude, I give all that I can, knowing that everything that I do comes back to me as many times as I need it. And so it is.
Thank you, beloved. I just love Bob Yeoman's music. Spirit moves through those hands. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Bob. Jody? Ah, yes, the sound of the mindfulness bell. It's a call to go home, to be here now, to observe that awakened heart space within and all around. It's the one heart, the one life, resonating in peace. It's that one power that we invoked at the beginning of the service. And it's awake. It's flowing. And we're breathing in and out from it as it. It's like you never want to leave this place. Tatwam asi, thou art that. Sanskrit. You are that. All there is that. And it is the breath. And we enter R, as Thich Nhat Hanh would say. There's an interbeingness. We are all that one life. There is but one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. And that life is my life now. And that can be a mantra that you can say to yourself. There's only one life here. It's the life of the divine. And it's flowing within and all around. Oh, I can feel it right now, and I know you can as well. In that consciousness, we are one. There's only one. That life is God's life. And we come to celebrate it. So with a deep integration, with that reliable truth, we exhale and we say, yes, beloved. Ah, okay, let's make a little circle and hold the hand of a friend.